How's it? Well, welcome back. So I might be getting a little bit sick apparently, as you might be able to hear in my voice. But nonetheless, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment, so we'll go ahead and try to crank this video out, assuming my voice can hold up this morning. But anyway, in this video, chapter 10 of the phase, we'll be talking about the 4 basic techniques when it comes to obtaining information in the phase, or a lucid dream. And so the first technique is called the animate object technique. This is simply where you're going to find essentially a person or a dream character within your phase or lucid dreaming space and pose them questions, and then hopefully, get good answers out of them. And now you can ask basically any dream character you happen to come across, but you're probably better off at the bare minimum, scanning the environment you're in, seeing what dream characters you currently have available, and then, picking out one that seems to stand out for one reason or another. Maybe they, encapsulate some certain type of archetype that's supposed to be smart, which we'll be talking about here in a second, and ask that dream character. Anyway, he also says how if you're trying to find information that's like linked up to somebody in the real waking world, it can be very beneficial to find, a dream character of them within your phase or lucid dream to ask the questions to. If the information is not related to anyone in particular, then it is possible to create a universal information source. So this is where you're going to be trying to find, one of these extra wise type dream characters or archetypes. So that could be a guru, a philosopher, a teacher, a god, or gods even could work as well. One of the main advantages to this technique is that it's very easy to ask follow-up questions to the dream character that you're talking with. One of the problems with this one too, though, is sometimes you'll find the exact dream character you're looking for. Maybe you find that guru, but then you'll ask them this question, and sometimes it just won't even answer you back. And kind of paradoxically, it does seem to be where if you're going to ask them and you really have like this burning question that you want to ask, sometimes you just don't get good responses out of them. And he has a whole section kind of talking about how to structure your questions and things like that. But one thing that can help a lot here is basically trying to have like a passing interest in it. So he has a really great recommendation where you could talk to this dream character who maybe isn't answering your very deep, difficult question, right? But then you can ask them, another type of question that you will get a response from, such as, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? Something like that, just trying to get them to talk back to you. And then in the middle of that conversation, that's when you actually just kind of like catch them off guard and throw in the real question you want to ask during that exchange. And that's a good way to kind of surprise them with the question and then actually get them to answer. The next technique is called the inanimate object technique. This is where we're going to be using sources like inscriptions, books, newspapers, could even be like radios, and you could hear the answer off the radio, television, computer search engines, file systems, and things like that. One of the big drawbacks to this, though, is that it's not as easy just to simply ask a follow-up question. Now, say if you are reading something or you're listening to a TV that's giving you answers, you could like ask your questions, see if the TV answers, look away from the TV. I would ask it again and try and look back. And then maybe that would get them, the answer, the follow-up question answer, but that can also be a little bit difficult. Another problem about this, too, though, is if you are trying to read it, if you're reading, especially if the lettering is small, like in an inscription, a newspaper, or a book, it can be very hard to read within the phase, so that could be difficult as well. Then he has something called the episode technique, and this one, I made a little note here, like seems hard to me. This one does seem hard. I don't ever recall purposefully ever doing this one. But to make this one work, in order to receive information using this method, imagine an event or series of events that will communicate the desired information. Then move to the area where predetermined events are expected to take place by using translocation techniques. This is suitable only for cases where information can be obtained by observation. So this one just, to me, seems kind of hard. Where like, this one you have to do this whole translocation thing, right? Get to a completely different dream environment scene. You got to have whatever events you want to be taking place. That just seems to me like a lot of extra hoops to jump through. Like I'm quite good at changing dream environments, but to get it to be that specific for me is still pretty difficult. I generally, when I do want to change dream environments and do this whole translocation thing, I normally just do it randomly. Like I'll just change it to whatever hell. I'll spin with no real intention on what I want to have pop up. I'll stop spinning. That's a good way I like to change my dream environment. Then I'll just see where I pop out. If there's like a mirror, I don't really expect too much of where I'm coming out. It's more like just surprise me. Walk through that mirror, see where I pop out at. And then if I don't like it, then I'll just kind of keep going through that routine until I find a dream environment that I like. So that's my main way for, translocation, which is probably another reason why I've never messed around with this technique too much. And then the last one is called the technique of direct informational retrieval. And this is one I use the most, at least to some extent. So this is where you simply just call out your question to the dream, and then you wait to see if the dream answers back. Either you hear a voice booming out the heaven, a dream character pops up out of nowhere and tells you the answer, or sometimes you just kind of intuitively know it in your head and not really hear anything. The main benefit of the technique is that it can be used in basically any stage of the phase. And then the way I mainly use this, I don't use it so much for information seeking, but I use it a lot for like dream control. So you can shout out things like increase stability, and that can make the dream more stable, or increase vividness, and then the colors and everything can pop more. Or another fun one to do is you just shout out to the dream to surprise me and then see what happens. That one's fun to mess around with. But anyway, with that said, that'll wrap up this video. In the next video, we'll be talking about ways to verify this information that you're getting from the dream. But until then, keep the phase practice legit.